Okay, so today is day 5 of me trying to flip this 70k account. So let's just look at the numbers. Still down 2.2%. Today is Friday and I did not take a trade, as you can see. I only had 2 pairs that I was looking at, which, to be honest, I prefer when it's just 1 pair or 2 pairs. I don't like it when I have a bunch, like I think it was yesterday I had a bunch and you end up missing them. And the 2 that I was really looking at, the one I was most interested in was AUD USD, and the second one that I wasn't really too interested in was USD Swiss franc. It's literally, the same thing as always. So we had the daily level here, it broke out. This should be blue. Now let me go through why I know you see it marked up here. But of course, these metrics don't lie. I didn't take the trade, right? The reason why I didn't take the trade and the reason why I have it marked up is because I've just back tested and I just want to see if it was going to get to it, which it obviously did here. Obviously, we can see that in hindsight. But the reason why I didn't get in here was because, okay, so we got the line. It broke into the line. It happened pretty quick. This was, if I'm not mistaken, right after the big spreads had finished, right? So technically, if we look at this, this would have been our entry. Now, I definitely wasn't going to get in because look at where our TP was, right? I stretched this out to a 1-to-1 just because I knew I'm not going to get into a trade if it's not 1-to-1, right? But technically, if I'm following the rules, that would have been our TP, a 0.29. And let's be honest, spreads would have done me dirty a little bit. They would have filled me like somewhere there. So I would have had like a 1 to 0.18, and there's no way I was gonna take that, right? So I left that. Then I did see that Cramson took an entry. His entry was here, which once again, I don't know why. I don't know if this is how it's gonna be, which is fine. I'll make the adjustment. When I was back testing, most of my entries were in London session and New York session. This week, all the ones that ended up hitting TP and were like the quality setups, they happened in Asia session. Which, if I put on my look, all the entries this week I've noticed they've happened in Asian. If I'm not like 90% of them, I'm pretty sure all of them have been Asian, right? Which is, of course, the time that I'm sleeping, but yeah, so he took an entry here. Let me put that to entry. So he got in here. I think spreads done him a little bit dirty, and he got entered like around there. One thing that he's been talking about, which I'll add as well, is adding 2 pips for 2 pips for what's it called? For your stop loss. So that was his entry, but he got taken out. Now, I do want to speak about this. I did see it here because I had the alert from when it broke out, right? So let's put this here. Boom. Right. So entry in theory. Now let me tell you why I didn't get in on this and why I didn't FOMO or anything like that, and I didn't like rush in. Now, I knew that, okay, with this, the biggest reason why was because I wasn't entirely sure on where I was going to put my stop loss, right? Honestly, I think if I'm following the rules, I would have had to put it here. And I knew that if I had to put it here, then to get at least a 1-to-1, I'd have to stretch it out to like there, which of course in hindsight, we see that I got there. But once again, following the rules, the TP would have been there, right? So I was looking at it again, I was like, oh, it's the same situation here where it's like I can enter and it's going to be like a 1-to-3 or 1-to-2 after spreads. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. Now, you could have said, oh, you could have just stretched it out to the 1. Well, I like just, I just want to do it to where liquidity is and just have it there and know that, okay, that is my TP. Which it would have hit, but that was the biggest reason. And then second reason was well, that was it. The first one was the stop loss, and the second one was the TP was too low, so I just left this. The one that I really, really wanted to enter on was AUD. This would have been very, 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 very nice if it had just come back into the zone. I mean, just boom, and then boom. I can, it went pretty high, right? That would have, okay. So, TP would have been there. That was the one I was most looking forward to, but of course it didn't hit, right? So, that was it. Once again, guys, I'm not going to be forcing trades just for the sake of the video. I don't want to blow my account. But on the bright side, going into next week, there seems to be quite a lot of plays coming up. Quite a lot of plays. Let me put my phone outside for a second. Quite a lot of plays. On the weekly side too. So let me go on the daily. So on the daily, look, it's broken out this zone, so that's gonna be on a watch list on Monday. This looks like it's gonna break out above this zone, so that's gonna be on the watch list on Monday. This not too much. This no. This maybe below this level. Looking for sales going into next week. This still in the middle. Oh, okay. Now this is a really big, strong candle here. Now, also, you can probably see, and I've drawn it on there too, but we have some really decent weekly levels that's coming up into next week, right? So next week we have this weekly level that's been broken. Not on this one. This one we have a very nice clean weekly level here. Weekly level here, clean for next week, Monday. Next week we have this weekly level and this weekly level. We have this weekly level on the sell side. I know that it is coming up to the monthly on the monthly time frame. So I'm just gonna hold off on that just because I don't have too much experience with, the monthly going up and the weekly going down. But if I'd had to take a trade, I'd probably get in on sells depending on how the daily finishes as well. And then there is a weekly. This is setting up nicely for sales going into next week as well. So I was watching Cramson's video right before making this one, and he said it. It's been a weird week, man. 50% win rate for him. For me, it's been -2. I've lost all my trades, so 0% technically. It's been a weird week, but I've been trading long enough to know that there is seasons and there is weeks where market conditions are not favorable to your strategy. For example, if you're really good at let's say your strategy is like trend trading, like let's say, yeah, trend trading, and your strategy is catching a trend, right? When the market is trending, of course, you're gonna do really, really well, right? Because you're gonna catch that trend, you're gonna ride it all the way up, or you're gonna ride it all the way down. But when the market starts to consolidate, you're really gonna struggle. Your win rate is gonna go down. Your RR is gonna go down, and it's gonna be tough for you until you catch another trend. Until markets switch from consolidating to trending. And then there's vice versa. Some people do really well in consolidation and they just buy in the range up and down, or sell. But then when it starts trending, they do really bad. They struggle, that's the type of trader I used to be. I typically do much better when markets are consolidating because I'll just draw support and resistance, and I'll just trade up and down there. But when it starts trending, that's when I struggle, right? So anyway, that's just my version of saying that I know the strategy works. It's just that this week the market conditions were not really what we needed it to be, right? Congrats to the guys that are doing pretty well. I know someone's about to pass their funded. Hopefully they're able to do it today if they caught anything. But yeah, I think next week's going to be a much more favorable week. I know the 2 weeks before I started this challenge, when I was back testing and front testing, those were more favorable market conditions. And almost every single day, I was able to catch a really good trade and hit TP, and things were going really well. So it's fine. I'm not gonna panic. I'm just gonna wait for those market conditions to present themselves. This was a bit of a weird, choppy week, but I feel like next week is gonna be a very, very, very solid week. on the daily time frame and on the weekly time frame as well. So that's it. It's the end of the week, trading week at least. I take a lot of inspiration from Cramson's videos because I literally watch them every time he drops them. Got the post, what they call the notifications on everything. So I am thinking about dropping a video on Saturdays as well. Just not really talking about psychology and stuff like that, but just talking about, yeah, mainly about psychology, to be honest, and my thoughts. Probably won't go as deep as him when he's talking about psychology, but just my thoughts on trading, how the week's been, my mindset, and just preparing for the journey ahead. That's about it. I do have my Telegram, which is linked in the description. That's where I'll be calling my trades. Of course, this week I only called out the 2 that I took. Even if they're losses, I'll still call them. It is what it is. But that's about it, guys. If you caught any good trades, if it was a win, lose, a draw, let me know. And have a great rest of your weekend, and God bless.